and it is still morning. I made it before noon. Today we're going to hark back. We're going to go on a little journey backwards to the day of the diner. Yesterday when I was making the lemon meringue pie, it just reminded me of the diner food. And so what I came up with, I want to do like a hamburger steak, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes. And the hamburger steak's going to be with onions and peppers and a gravy. So if anybody's ever eaten at a diner, you're going to remember this dish because it's one of the most popular diner dishes there ever was. I'm going to start off with the coleslaw because I want that to, want to get that made in the refrigerator to chill while we're putting together the rest of the dish. I just cut off a little bit, maybe a half of a head, a small head of cabbage. Now this is a loose head too. It's not real tightly together. So we're not going to get a lot out of it, but I don't need a lot. It's just me and Sam. So, that's what we're working with today. This coleslaw is what I used to make at the restaurant. And it's not diet friendly, it is diabetic friendly. With that being said, I'm saying friendly, not overly so, because there's no sugar, there's none of that stuff in there. What I did, there's a half a cup of mayonnaise in here, full fat mayonnaise, and then there's 6 packets of Splenda. And don't, wrinkle your forehead or go, ooh, it is really, really good. I would make it at the restaurant and nobody would be the wiser that it was an artificial sweetener in there instead of the sugar and the vinegar and all of that. You just don't need all that. The only other thing is your cabbage, and I'm going to grate a carrot, and your coleslaw is done. Now I used to do this in a food processor, and then I started just doing it by hand. And my family seemed to like it a little bit better. The textures, it wasn't so finely cut. And it's a lot easier. I'm not a fan of the food processor. I mean, I love the food processor, how it, does your food and all that kind of stuff. But I hate the cleanup. It's just so involved because all those little nooks and crannies you have in food processors, food can get stuck in that and really cause problems. So, and I hate to wash it by hand, so I always put it in the dishwasher. So when I do that, we don't wash a lot of dishes. It has to sit in there, rinsed of course, until the next load goes through. We don't run our dishwasher every single day. It's just not necessary when you just have 2 people and we just don't eat a lot. So this is pretty much done. See how easy that is? I'll do 1 cut through the middle. And this is a little less than half of a head. And it's making quite a bit. Now, your family may really enjoy coleslaw. We'll eat it a lot throughout the week. It's just, we just don't. This will go in the refrigerator and stay in there a couple days. And hopefully just a small amount will get eaten up. And then I'm going to grate the carrot, only half of a carrot. Then once we mix this together, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And then I'm going to do up our onions and peppers for the hamburger steak. And that's all we need. You don't want to get too many carrots in there. Oh, well, you can. I mean, if you like carrots, be my guest. One thing that I like also that was very popular in diner cuisine was carrot salad. Do you remember that? The carrots. And then you had raisins. And then the mayonnaise. That was another... maybe we'll do that one day. Then all we have to do here is just mix this because I've already put the Splenda in here in the mayonnaise. Let's just make sure we have enough. We should, because as coleslaw sits with the cabbage, it's going to weep. it's going to become wetter. So you don't want to overdo your mayonnaise. Now, I remember this meal from way back. I always got this whenever we went to a diner. And back in the day, that's where everybody went, was, you know, to a diner. There's diners everywhere. Not so much anymore. The fast food restaurants, your Red Lobsters, your Outbacks, all of that has taken the place of diner cuisine. So here you go. It's perfect. Let me taste a little leaf here. Good. Okay. Let me get that in the refrigerator, clean my decks up a little bit, and we'll do the peppers and onions. Let me just stick this in the refrigerator. It was so nice this morning, right after sunrise. I took the dogs out, and then it got unbelievably hot. So we're going to do these in sticks. I just think it looks pretty. So, rid of those. I just happen to have this orange pepper, bell pepper. Now you can use poblanos. I have poblanos, and I actually thought about using them, but you didn't have poblanos with onion with your hamburger steak back in the day, or you didn't where I lived up north mostly, and even in the South. When you went to a diner, you got the basic food. And another dish, which was very, very popular, was spaghetti. Do you remember the spaghetti meals? Okay. So, put those to the side. Let me do it this way. Be a little bit quicker. Just do it thin. Not real thin. You don't want it to fall apart. I still want it to show up, because we're going to add these after we cook the hamburger steak. We're going to put the onions and peppers in a pan, let those saute, make our gravy while they're sauteing, and then we're going to put the hamburger steak back in, and that's it. I'll put the potatoes on and have them cooking as we do our steaks. So everything should come out at the same time, nice and hot. Yeah, this even smells good. I don't know why we get away from foods like this. I guess it's just the way it is. People say, well, that's a 70s recipe. Sure it is. It doesn't make it any less enjoyable. Okay, so I'm going to cut our onion in half. This is just a medium onion. I'm just going to cut it in half. You can see. Then I'm going to do it long ways like this, so I have some length to it. I don't want it diced. I'll try to do it a little on the thin side so it cooks up a little faster. Oops, almost did it on the wrong side. And this is it. There we go. And this will go in the refrigerator until we're ready to use. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and cut these up. I don't want to waste these. I was actually thinking about doing my lasagna today, and I thought, let's go ahead and do those since we were on the diner food yesterday with the lemon meringue pie. That was just on my mind last night. I looked up a recipe, so I will be going by the recipe somewhat. Just so if anybody has any questions or wants the exact measurements, I have it for the recipe, not from, memory. Okay. There you have it. So I'll get my decks cleaned up here and get the hamburger, or actually I'm using ground turkey. You can use hamburger, sausage, ground sausage. You can use any meat you want, but I am trying to stay a little bit on the healthy side by using ground turkey with most of my dishes. So when I get all this straightened out, I'll bring it back, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do now, I brought my skillet out, and in this skillet, the recipe is calling for olive oil. What I did is in making this before, I used 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of sunflower oil. You can put anything in there that you want, but those are the oils that I prefer because of the heat point. Olive oil, when you're cooking a recipe or an application such as this, you need that higher heat point, and olive oil sometimes breaks down. Now, not the mixed olive oil, but I don't have any of that. Well, actually, I just told a fib. The sunflower oil I'm using right now is a mixture of part olive oil. So that being said, I kind of am sticking to the recipe, but so like I said, I've got the oil heating, and also I've got my potatoes on a medium flame right now. I'm using a pound of turkey, ground turkey, and like many of you know, that's what I use in place of ground beef. Also, I do use like turkey sausage a lot of times when I'm dealing with like ground meats and stuff like that. I just think it's a little bit healthier for you. And with the situation that I have with the disease that I have, inflammation is huge. So I try to err on the side of caution and cut anything out that may cause more inflammation or aggravate an inflammation type symptom. So enough of that. So what I've got 3 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. We've got 1 egg, and that's all that's going in here with the without the seasonings. Now with the seasonings, we're going to use onion powder, garlic powder, salt. Now this is my pink fine grain Himalayan salt. I can't believe I found that, but I did. I have the coarse ground, that you sprinkle on like rolls and things like that. But I'm glad I found this from Amazon. I've got my Badia Complete. It wasn't on the recipe, but I like that flavor. And then the coarse ground pepper. When you're using coarse ground pepper, use half of what they call for in a recipe, because the recipes are generally with a finer pepper, and you may run the risk of over seasoning. I'm sorry. And then paprika. So let's get this show on the road here. Okay, we're going to put our egg and our breadcrumbs. Sprinkle our breadcrumbs in there, just like so. Now I'm not going to mix it, well, except I'm going to pop the egg and just stir it around a little bit. Because I don't want to mess with this meat mixture too much. It'll make it tough. I'll wipe my hands off. Okay, so our garlic powder, and you can tell I am a container hoarder. Like this was I got it labeled on the front. This was Gherkin's pickle container that I cleaned out. But I use garlic powder and onion powder so much that those little bottles just aren't enough. So we're gonna, oops, don't want all that. We want a teaspoon. Teaspoon of each one of these seasonings, by the way, but make it yours. You know, if your family likes something more than others, you know, do it that way. Paprika, and I like paprika too. It doesn't have a lot of flavoring, but it does color the dish, which I like a lot. Okay, onion powder. See, this was, what was this? This was, oh, coconut, an old bottle of coconut oil. I just cleaned it out and used it because I go through these powders just quick. And then my pepper, it calls for a teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to put a half. If you need more, you can put more in later, but you know, just a little bit. Because even smelling it's strong. And then my pink Himalayan salt, again, in a little container. This was a yogurt container. And also, season according to your taste. Recipes are just a blueprint. I'm just going to sprinkle that on there. Here, let me just sprinkle that on there instead of taking that lid off. I don't have any fingernails. I can't pop it off that easy. Okay, so that's it. So in this mixture is just your egg and your breadcrumbs pretty much, and then your seasonings. And that's it. Oh, here, let's get this mixed up. Now you can mix it. Mix it lightly. Don't go crazy. Now I've had this ground turkey out for, you know, more than 10 minutes, so it's going to be warm. It should be really cold, so it'll be easier to form into patties. So we'll see how it goes. I'll get a spoon, if nothing else, and form it. And my oil, my skillet, I've got set on 300. I might turn that up just a hair, just to get it started, because it's supposed to cook for about 5 minutes per side. Now this isn't beef. You want this cooked all the way through. If it's beef, you can cook it a little bit less, but not if it's turkey. So I'm going to cut it in fourths here, like so. Let me wet my hands. That will help. Okay, that's pretty cold. About an 1/8 inch thick, the recipe says, which I agree with. And this is going to shrink up a little bit. Do a little bit more. There we go. That feels a little bit better. Now I've always breaded these before putting them in the, you know, with flour and egg, and then put it in here. But this doesn't call for that, which I'm glad. It's just that much less that you have to worry with as far as, you know, calorie. It's not that I'm big into trying to watch my calories. I just try to watch my health more than my calories. And the people that I cook for, I love them, and I want them to be as healthy as they can be as well. I want them to enjoy their food and us enjoy meals together. But I want it to be meals that I don't have to worry about. It's not high in calories and fat. And this meal will do it. A lot of vegetables in here, onions, peppers. You can also, another great meal, or great addition to this would be mushrooms. I don't have any mushrooms. You know, actually, I'm going to put a little bit more on this patty because it looked a little skimpy. Okay. So, a pound of ground meat. gave us 4 patties. So you can do the math. If you have more people that you're cooking for, you know, at a pound, you got 8 patties. Or if you want to, if you have just a couple of people you're cooking for, but you want leftovers that you can freeze maybe, yeah, do more. Because this is a meal that will freeze up pretty good. Let me wash my hands real quick. And I got to turn my potatoes down. I can hear them boiling. Always try to stay as clean as you can, especially around any kind of ground beef, you know, the raw meats, chickens, and things like that. One thing in the restaurant, we were so careful when it came to working with ground beef. Not so much the steaks. Hold on one second. Let me turn this down. Not so much the fresh steaks, but you know, we made our own hamburger too out of the trimmings from the steak. And, you know, that was like 80-20, you know, where we would trim the fat off steaks. You throw that in and grind it up. The more you handle any kind of meat, especially when you're grinding it, there's more of a chance that that meat, I'm going to turn this down just a hair, there's more of a chance that meat is going to come in contact with bad bacteria. And that's why ground meat spoils so much quicker than, let's say, a steak or a roast. It's because it's exposed, all of it's exposed to more air and bacteria than its counterpart, if that makes sense. So, let's see where we go. Now, this is saying 5 minutes per side. I don't want to over cook this to where it's hard outside, but I don't want it to take all day to cook either. Because we still have the onions and peppers once this is done. So when this gets a little bit more done, I'll bring you back. I think I'll bring you back. Hello. Okay, so these have cooked 5 minutes on either side. I took their temperature because if you're ever in doubt, you don't have to chop them up to see if they're done on the inside, because it's very difficult with hamburger and ground meat to open it up unless it's really pink on the inside. But they're reading 180 degrees. They only have to read 165. So they are done. So we're going to park these. Whoa, it's like glasses came off. We're going to park these. See how pretty they are? Let me show you. And a nice color on them. We've got a really good flavor on the bottom. Our little drippings. Going to make a wonderful gravy. And don't forget, now this is ground turkey. So you have to add, you know, some oil, whether it's a mixture of olive oil. See, you can't do just plain butter and plain olive oil. If you're gonna have to mix something with that, because otherwise it's just gonna smoke and break down on you. So what we're gonna do, remember, we've got our 3 tablespoons of flour, and I've got 1 tablespoon of dry gravy mix, McCormick's. I love this stuff. It imparts such a wonderful texture or flavor. Then we have a teaspoon of thyme, a half of a teaspoon of pink Himalayan fine grained salt, and a half a teaspoon of pepper. Now, rule of thumb, when you're doing a gravy, do it to where you're going to have equal parts fat to flour. So we want to make sure that this is 3 tablespoons to match our flour. If not, I've got butter on the side to add to it. I'll show you what to look for. Those of you that are used to making gravies, you're going to know what to look for. Because you want to cook this gravy down. Listen to me. Yeah, this is going to be enough right here. We don't need to add any more butter. You want to cook your your flour down to get rid of that flour taste. It doesn't take long. Let me show you. I wish I had a camera angled down, but I don't. Okay, see? You want it to cook enough that you're going to cook that down. And then what I'm going to do right now is add my onions and peppers and let those start cooking. And I'm going to put the lid on here, break up my onions. I should have done that, but I didn't. There we go. Break up my onions. Get these in there. I'm going to add just a scant bit of just plain water and put the lid on this to steam it. I don't want too much water because then I'll start making my gravy. I just want something to steam these vegetables, like so. There we go. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and check my potatoes. They should be close to being done. And they are. So what I'll do with this butter that I had set aside just to make sure that I had enough in here, I'll add this to my mashed potatoes when we go to mix those. So we'll do that right now. Okay. So I'm going to take my potatoes and drain those. And we're going to put those right back in the pot to keep them warm. Now, I already salted these, so they're not going to need any more salt. I always had a tendency to over salt. Instead of thinking about seasoning our meal, our recipe, I end up over salting. There's a difference. So just leave that sitting on the side for right now. Let's check our onions and peppers. Oh yeah, coming along fine. You don't want to overcook these either. You want them to have a little bit of body. You want them soft. There we go. See what that water did? Just a teeny, a couple tablespoons of water with the lid on it works miracles. Oh. Okay, so we're all done. Just wanted to show you what we have here. Remember, we had parked the Hamburger Steaks. Well, they're turkey steaks, guys, but same difference, right? To the side. Our gravy's thickened with onions and peppers in here. Our potatoes are done, and our coleslaw's done. So let's put this meal together for you. Let me turn the heat off. Get a spoon. Watch out, Rosie. Andy. Yum. This is real diner food. This is diner food, everybody. This is what you went to get back in the day before the Outbacks and the Longhorns. There you have it. So with that being said, my neighbor is visiting and he's going to enjoy it. So with that being said, I just want to wish everybody a good day to the end of this holiday weekend. Take care of yourself, your friends, your family, and your loved ones. And always check on your neighbors next door. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. With that, I bid you adieu and bye-bye. Well, hello. So here we are at the end of another recipe. I look forward to these little recaps. It kind of gives an ending to the day and highlight as to what we did. We made a 1970s version of Hamburger Steak. When I was growing up in the 70s and we would go out, that's the meal I would get. I would always get the Hamburger Steak with onions and peppers, mashed potatoes and coleslaw. My all-time favorite thing to eat. Even now, even though I don't eat a lot of beef or meats of that sort, for my birthday, every year my daughter fixes me meatloaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, and coleslaw. That's my go-to meal. I'm not expensive. I'm not an expensive date. But to just cap this, we did mashed potatoes. Didn't peel them, just mashed potatoes, a little bit of butter, a little bit of milk. And the coleslaw. Coleslaw is, maybe a little over a quarter of a head of cabbage, close to half a head of cabbage. They were loose leaf though. A few packs of Splenda and a half a cup of mayo. That's all there is to that. You just, with your onions and peppers, you just slice those up. You throw those in the skillet after the hamburger or the patties are done, whatever ground meat you're using, and saute those. Add a little bit of flour, butter, and your broth. Put your patties back in. Let that cook up for a little bit. You have a remarkable dinner. Make this dinner yours. Use your own seasonings. I just use a base amount of seasoning, but use your own seasonings, those that your family likes, that you prefer. And, go back. Keep going back to these kind of meals. They're just base meals. They're comforting meals. And I was so grateful that my neighbor stopped in. It was just fun having him here because he enjoyed that meal so much. All he kept saying was, yum, which does a heart good. Somebody that prepares something for somebody to say, oh, yum, that goes a long way. Okay, so I'm going to bid you adieu. And with that, I want to wish you the best of health. Take care of yourself. Be kind to one another. Look in on your neighbors because you never know what goes on behind closed doors. So with that, I bid you good day and bye-bye.